everybody. This is City Scrapper. Thanks so much for joining me on my channel today. Pam from My Creative Scrapbook asked us if we would like to participate in a Scrappy Space tour, and I'm very excited to share with you my place that I like to scrapbook. This is outside of my scrapbooking room. I'm going to show you this adjoining room because a lot of scrapbooking activities take place here as well. So starting with this table, this is a desk that has, as you can see, my Silhouette Cameo. And I have an older computer here. We bought a new desktop, and this one is so old that I couldn't even get any trade-in value at all, but it's perfect to use for my Silhouette Cameo. So I have my computer and my Silhouette here, and in this drawer I have some supplies. I have a scraper, and I use this to, sorry, let me be a little more steady here. I use this to press down on the paper, especially when I use older mats. Underneath that, I have some paper cut to size. I have some plastic that I use to make stencils, and underneath that, I have a number of mats, and then some extra cutting blades on this side. I have this large bookshelf that houses all of my first scrapbooks. So I have this couch right in front of the bookshelf. I'm just going to slide it out of the way. It's on sliders, and show you that there are quite a few shelves, and they are all packed with my scrapbooks. So on this shelf, there are a lot of scrapbooks that are postbound. I have since switched to binders just because it's a little easier to switch the pages around and keep everything organized. And I got that large bookshelf in Home Goods. I think it's just perfect. It's almost custom made for scrapbooks. And I'm sorry I can't back up more to show you the whole thing at the same time. The quarters are kind of tight here. Sorry about that. On the other side of the room, I have bookshelves that house all of my current scrapbooks. So I'm going to push this couch back so that I can back up a little bit and show you. So there are 3 sections, and they are already filled with scrapbooks, but I still have the top. On the top right now, I have binders that I have not yet filled with any photos or any ephemera, and a lot of these scrapbooks still need to be completed. I don't think there are any that I haven't started, but although all of the binders are in chronological order, I do like to scrapbook based on whether I'm using a sketch or whatever my feeling is at the time. I like to jump around. This piece right here is a piece that I want to refinish to make into a kitchen island, but until then, I am using it in this room, and on top of it, I have 3 piles of layouts that I'm going to be using for layout chairs. So they're gonna just live there until I get around to those layout chairs. And then over here, this is something that my husband got for me. This is a sign that I can turn around and hang up, and this shows that I'm doing some kind of a video where I am using my voice and lets him know that it's not a good time to knock on the door. So I think that was super cute. And my husband did all of the electrical work down here. This used to be more of a basement area. Used to have wood paneling, which was fine, but as the years went on, some of the paneling was replaced. So I had like one wall was wood paneling and one wall was sheetrock. So we finally decided to get this whole area redone. Here is my scrapbook room, and I tried filming my scrapbook room before, and it's a little tough because although the room isn't super small, it's not huge, and there isn't too much room to back up because of the amount of stuff that I have in here. So I think I'm first going to start with a little panning of the entire room, and then I'll talk about each of the areas. So here I have 2 Target bookshelves that are stacked on top of each other, and they just fit perfectly in that spot. Next to that, I have a very large, the large Calyx unit from IKEA. Then I have a mixed media cart, and on top of that, I have some of my sprays. Then I have my utility cabinet that I got from either Lowe's or Home Depot, and this houses all of my punches. Next to that, I have another calyx unit. On top of that, I have some storage. And then next to that, I have a large French door. The French doors are very rarely used, so they're more like a large window. And then I have my sewing machine and some more sprays on top. Next to that, I have some storage on some shelves. And then I have my original scrapbook cart. This cart used to hold all of my scrapbooking supplies. And then next to it, I have these 3 bookshelves, and it's very hard for me to get these in, but these were purchased on Facebook Marketplace, and they were, I don't know, $175 or so, and they're really nice quality bookshelves, and they're very well designed to accommodate scrapbooking items. I also have my desk in the center of the room. My desk is an IKEA desk. It has a glass tabletop, and you can see there's a lot of reflection off of it. That's the one drawback, but it's fantastic for mixed media, and I can clean up pretty much anything from it. The chair is also from IKEA, and the 2 drawer units on either side are from IKEA as well. And then I have a number of other bookshelves that I've built around it. I don't remember where I got this particular shelf. Behind it, there's, I believe, another IKEA unit. I'll show you all these. And then this is an IKEA unit on its side, this one that everything is resting on. The box is from Michael's. And so I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to show you each of the things in the craft room. Before I show you all of my scrapbooking supplies, I wanted to show you a few items. I don't have too much decor in this room, but I wanted to show you what I do have. So here I have some little ornaments. The wood fox on the left, that was made by my daughter Danielle. And then on the right, it's a Christmas ornament, but I love it so much that I had to put it in my scrapbooking room. I love the way it's personalized for me. And that was given to me by my niece. On top of that, I have this Halloween decoration, or not, it's not a decoration, it's part of a Halloween costume, and my husband saw it and he said, oh, it looks like a scrapbooking accident. And so I think that's hysterical, so I included that in the room. Up here I have a Black Beauty record, and this is from my childhood. I didn't have the record anymore. My sister bought me another copy of it, and it's just a long story. It's very special to me, so I framed it and I hung it up here. On top of the French doors, I have this large decorative wooden piece, and I got this from Facebook Marketplace as well. I think it was $25. It was in kind of rough shape, and I had never done any refinishing or antiquing before, so I just experimented on it, and I think it came out fine. So I like that. It fits perfectly over the door. And then I'll try not to make you dizzy by panning quickly, but right over the door is this beautiful custom-made sign that my sister Marie had made for me, and I absolutely love it. So that is the decor in my room, and now I'll go ahead and show you all of the scrapbooking items. On top of this unit, I have my background stamps, and I have other stamps, but these are the stamps that I use for most of my layouts. Underneath that, I have a box of clay embellishments that I made. Underneath that, I have my 12 by 12 inch stencils. And then these other items, they're called architectures. I'll see if I can pull one out, excuse my hand. But they look like this. They are made by 7 Gypsies, and you can either use them as masks or you could just attach them to your pages. So I have all of those in there. I have a candle and some tissue paper that was a gift from my friend Nisi. It's a project that I want to do soon, so I'm leaving it there so it'll be handy. And then underneath that, I have all of my dry adhesives, some extra tape and extra tabs and glue dots. Underneath that, nothing exciting, just some storage bags. Some of them are plastic zippered bags. Some of them are plastic bags, and I buy large 14 by 14 inch bags from Amazon. I store a lot of my items in there. Underneath there, I have these small embroidery boxes that you could get pretty much anywhere, and they have buttons in them. And I don't know why I have so many buttons because I only use them every now and then, but I've been accumulating them over the years and I just like them. So those stay there. Underneath that, I have more buttons. I also have some random plastic embellishments and bows, all kinds of embellishments, and same thing underneath, some additional embellishments. Next, I want to show you this large calyx unit. Now, I don't think that it makes sense for me to show you everything that's on these shelves, but I'm just going to briefly mention how I have everything organized. I have 3 different ways that I organize my paper collections. I organize them by name, manufacturer, and name of the collection. That's how most of my items are organized. Over here, I have my papers and my embellishments organized by season. So I have winter, spring, summer, fall, and I incorporate the holidays in there. So I have Christmas is on top, and then it proceeds down, and then it ends with Halloween, which is my favorite holiday to scrapbook, although Christmas is another huge favorite of mine. So excuse the fact that there's the fan in the way, but that's pretty necessary. So there I have my Halloween stash on the bottom. This is my garbage pail. This was given to me by my friend Michelle T. I had a more expensive type thing, but she gave this to us to use at a crop, and I found that I love it because it's open on top. I didn't have to keep opening the garbage pail. So there are my Halloween pads. And then the third way that I have things organized is by subject. So there are certain things that I want to have all together. For example, birthday. I want to be able to go to all of my birthday collections when I want to scrapbook a birthday layout. I don't want to have to remember where they all are. So I'll put a few things together. I have things like birthdays, travel, and food, things like that that I want to put together. I have music and dance, sports, school, things like that, and that continues over here. On top of this first calyx unit are a number of boxes that I store things that I probably use a little less often than some of the things that I have stored on lower shelves. On the first column of boxes, I have 3 boxes of Christmas embellishments that I have accumulated over the years, and I have them separated into categories so I can find them a little bit more easily. On the top, I have some Christmas items that I use for mixed media pages, a lot of things that have a lot of texture, and a lot of picks from Michaels and Joann Fabrics. The next column has lots of summer embellishments, and then some Halloween and Christmas ribbon, and then on the bottom I have a box of Halloween mixed media items. I love making Halloween textured and mixed media pages. Next, I have a number of Halloween embellishments, again separated by category so that I can find what I'm looking for. And then next to that, I have some assorted things. I have 1 box of Halloween punches, dies, and stamps. And then underneath that, I have some mink supplies. I have some silicone molds and the clay that I use in those. I have some summer mixed media. And then under that, some We Are Memory Keepers punch boards, a staple, tab, and frame punch board. And then underneath that, I have my fuse tools. And I use all of those things now and then. And then next to that, I have 4 boxes, it looks like, that are full of all kinds of rubber and clear stamps. Again, things that I have collected over many years. And then next to that, I have my mixed media area, although I have quite a few other areas in the room that have mixed media supplies. But I have my sprays up on top. I have a tray on top of this cart. I purchased this cart from Amazon. I couldn't find an IKEA cart that was the right measurements for this area. And I arrange my sprays mainly by color. I have my art anthology sprays that are right over here. Those are separate. I would like to incorporate them in with the other colors because it's just so much easier to say I need, like for example, I need yellow, and then just go to the area where I have all my yellow sprays rather than remember all the different manufacturers. So I have a little bit of organizing to do here. Then on the tray on the top of the cart, I have a number of items. I have some Delusions and Prima Color Bloom 2 sprays in the back. I have a little sponge that I used for a lot of my layouts. I've had that for many, many years since college. And then I have this aspirator that is a Ranger product, and I love using that to spread the color around on mixed media pages. And then these are a whole bunch of glazes and paints and texture pastes, things like that. And I keep this tray handy for when I want to start painting. I have these paper towel rolls, and I'll dip the ends of them in paint and make circles on my pages. And I use this scraper on my glass table. I just spray some Windex and I scrape a little bit, and the table is clean. I'm going to briefly show you what's in each of these drawers. In this drawer, I have some Color Bloom 2 sprays that I haven't added the water to yet. These are some extras. I have some crayons, some Heidi Swap glitter paste. I have some Pearl X and also Perfect Pearls jars over here. And then I have a lot of this distress glitter, and I got all of that from Tuesday morning and mainly on the clearance rack. I also have some cosmetic sponges that I use for mixed media. In this drawer, I have quite a few of these jars of Bo Bunny glitter paste. This, again, they had a Tuesday morning, so I picked that up there. I use this color Sugar quite a bit on my layouts. I have some Little Birdie metallic paints, and then I have some of this that I also got a Tuesday morning. This is called Stained Glass, and I've used that on my mixed media layouts. And then some Art Anthology dimensional glazes and things like that, plus a few Prima pastes that I wasn't able to fit on top of the tray, of the cart. In here, I have some little jars of acrylic paint. I got these also a Tuesday morning, and they were 99 cents, and I wasn't sure if I was going to use them, and I use them all the time. They are very, very handy to have. I like the fact that they're in jars. A personal preference of mine over tubes. And then over here, I have these that I bought at Michael's recently. They were on clearance. They're Martha Stewart glitter pastes. And then back here, I have some pastels, and I have these Jean Davenport watercolor pens and some watercolor trays as well. Here I have a number of acrylic paints. On this side, I have some Delusions acrylic paints, and I have some Jane Davenport over here, and then I have a whole bunch of other types in between. In this drawer, I have a number of tools. I have some watercolor brushes. I use these caps to make different circular shapes on my mixed media projects. I have some scrapers that have different types of textures that you could make using the ends of them. I have a number of brayers mixed in here, some foam brushes, some sponges, and here are some little daubers. Those are for the tops of paint bottles. In here, and it's a little tightly packed in here, I have a number of fibers and metals and things. I have some cheesecloth. I have this fiber that is from an Easter basket, and then this is sisal. There's some burlap here and some wire. And then on the bottom, I keep bubble wrap of different sizes, and I also keep some sheets of plastic, and that's all to use for the packaging technique. I will go up on the top of this calyx unit and storage. I will show you that in a moment. I first have my stencils. I have my stencils organized with these black dividers, and I put them in different categories so I could find them easily. Next, I have boxes of chipboard. Some of it is just regular chipboard, some of it is Technique Tuesday chipboard, and that type of chipboard has a finished white surface that I really love because you can stamp on it very easily or very nicely, and so I collected a lot of it when they were closing it out, but I also have some friends that bought a lot, and then a few years later, they donated it to me, so I have a nice stash of that there, and I'm trying not to hoard it. I'm trying to get it used up. Over here, I have a traveler's notebook that Pam gave me, and I am leaving it out there so I don't forget to start using it. I have a number of embellishment boxes here. I use art boxes that I get from Joann Fabric, and I really like these because they lock closed and they're very long, so they hold a lot of things. So I have a whole bunch of embellishments. Like I said, I have some stars, metal clips, assorted letters, lots of ribbon. I have some wood embellishments, some resin and clay embellishments. I also have some brads. I have a lot of brads. I used to love brads and use them on everything. I still use them, not quite as much as I used to, but I still really like them. And then I also have some assorted jewels and eyelets as well, and I have a box of bows. Those are loose bows. Over here, I have, and I'm sorry for the glare, over here I have some sequins and some tiny beads, and I have those organized in boxes that I can separate them into the different colors. I have the Sterilite boxes with the blue clips on the ends. There are boxes of photo corners and clips, hearts. I have some journaling cards, some star stickers, bows, heart stickers, some boxes of sequins, and then I also have this mold that I felt I had to have, and I haven't, I'm sorry, it's a mold press, and I haven't used it yet to make any molds, so I'm looking forward to that. And up on the very top, I have a few iris boxes that just fit in there just perfectly. So I have some rosettes, banners, and tassels in that box. I have some more tags in that box. I have tags in another location too. I have some winter embellishments, some journaling cards, and some transparencies in the iris boxes that are all the way up on top. I have another spice rack that's filled with a whole bunch of sprays. They're mainly my Distress Oxides by Tim Holtz. I neglected to mention that I have this little guy that was made by my daughter Julia when she was very little. Anytime we had any kind of a conflict or disagreement when she was little, she would make me a little sock, I don't know, to a puppet, a little sock animal or whatever you want to call that, and she would get one of her socks and draw a happy face on it, and of course it always cheered me up. That was so super cute. Underneath that, I have a sewing machine, which I really do not use as much as I would like to. I have some thread on the right-hand side. I don't really use the thread too much because I don't use the sewing machine too much. And then here I have some foam dots, all different sizes. And I don't use those as much anymore because I often use the adhesive foam now. Underneath that, I have some binders and I have a whole bunch of sketches in there or pictures of layouts. Luzma is a scrapbooker that I absolutely love, and I have a lot of her layouts in binders. I also have some Scrapbook Generation sketches, and I have a whole binder of other sketches that I've collected over the years. I keep that upstairs though. Over here, I have boxes, and again, so much glare, sorry about that. Boxes of different embellishments. Over here, I have bling swirls. Those are mainly those Prima Say It with crystals swirls, crystal swirls, and I love those. So I have a bunch of those, but there's other things in that box. Underneath that, I have some various floral embellishments that I use on mixed media pages. Then I have some of the Project Life cards. I like those sets because they come with cards and embellishments, so it's a little easier to use those on pages for me. I have a small box of my creative scrapbook items. Some of them are papers, and a lot of what's in there is stamps and letters and things that I might want to use on future layouts. Then underneath that, I have some floral mixed media, And this box right here is Dollar Tree scrapbooking items, or items that could be used on scrapbook pages. And I was going to do a project. There's just so many projects to do, so I don't really get to everything. Up there, it's not labeled. I have lots of Christmas items in there that I bought recently. Underneath that, I have those boxes that have lots of little boxes inside. The top one I wanted to use to make boxes of color coded embellishments, like a box of red embellishments, etc. But I haven't gotten around to doing too much there. Underneath that, I have 2 boxes of chipboard letters. Those are mainly K & Company letters from years ago. I love those letters. Then I have those same boxes with the little boxes inside. I have enamel dots, ephemera, enamel shapes like enamel stars and hearts, things like that. Then I have jewels, and I have another ephemera box. There I have an iris case with all of my extra ATG refills in there. I have some jewels and pearls in there, some chipboard shapes, and some more chipboard shapes. So I'm not opening up the boxes. I hope that's okay. I don't want this video to go on forever, but if you have any questions about anything, please let me know. This is a whole bunch of mainly tools, I would say. Some of these I use a lot, and some of them I very rarely use. This bucket right here, this is for extra supplies that I have determined that I'm not going to use, so I will put these in here. I just clean this out, so I don't have anything in there now, but that's handy. That way I can just put things in there and not have to remember what I want to get rid of. So I also have this. I would love to show this to you. This is a Martha Stewart heat gun I got from Tuesday Morning, and it was from 2017 for $3.99. They had some amazing buys there. I don't know if they still do. I haven't been there in quite a bit. Over here I have, let me see if I could stand so you could see this. Okay, that's a little bit better. Over here I have pattern papers that are organized by color. So I have them in just different color groups, and I use these all the time when I'm scrapbooking. If I need a piece of paper that's a certain color and they don't have it in the collection that I'm using, then I'll just come over here and see if there's something that matches, and there usually is. Over here I have some assorted pattern paper. These are mainly patterns. They're not any one particular color. And then over here I have some scrapbook generation kits that I've put together, but I haven't put photos in yet. Underneath in these 2 baskets, I have the beginning of my paper collections that are organized by manufacturer and collection. Now on these bookshelves, I have lots of paper pads that I've collected over the years, literally for 20-something years. And I go through them every now and then, but I really try to only buy things that I like. So if you like something, I feel that occasionally you might change your mind, but generally I feel that I still like the pads, so I will get rid of them now and then, but for the most part, as I go through them, I find papers and I find more things that I want to use. I will show you the top now. I have a spray box on the top left-hand corner just for whenever I want to do a project that's messy. I put it inside so that I don't make a huge mess. Underneath that, I have some empty containers. Whenever I want to put something in a container, I have some containers that I'm not using. Underneath that, I have a whole bunch of cardstock scraps, and I use those sometimes for scrapbooking, but mainly I feel that they're used for non-scrapbooking purposes. Sometimes my kids use them for projects. That iris box on the top is Halloween items. Underneath that, I have some stickers, different types of stickers. These boxes have Heidi Swap letters and also some buttons, those self-adhesive buttons. I should probably get rid of those. I haven't used those in years. That's one thing. Every time I look at it, I think I probably won't use those, but then I'll sometimes use something that I never expected to use. And then the rest of this area is all of my letter stickers, and those are organized by color. This middle cabinet here, I'll open up the doors. This has some Project Life cards on the left. That's something else that I'm considering removing from my scrapbooking room because I really don't use those for scrapbooking. I sometimes use those when I am writing out little notes about things I want to remember, and I'll put them in with ephemera. and I keep all that stuff upstairs. So I think I might get rid of those to make some more room. Next to that, I have some chipboard in that envelope, and then in the boxes on the right, I have some clear epoxy stickers, flocking powder, and pearl drops, little bottles of glitter, Nuvo drops, stickles. I have an empty box just so that I don't lose that box because that matches. And then I have some small Target bottles of bling. And then underneath that, I have a bunch of random glues, glazes, micro beads, puffy paint, things like that. Here I have some more pads. In the center, I have some watercolor paper that's 12 by 12. And I really like using that. I would like to use that more. And then underneath, I have a shelf that has a whole bunch of pattern papers. I got all of them from Tuesday Morning, and they are mainly papers that read as solids. So if I need a background paper, I can pull from there. And then to the right, I have a couple of collections that I don't have any 12 by 12 inch papers for. They're just 6 by 6 inch collections, or 6 by 6 inch papers with some embellishments. And then to the right, I have a whole bunch of smaller pads, and the silver box right here, this has some die cuts in it. These envelopes here, or these, some are envelopes, some are plastic bags, they house some of my paper collections by manufacturer and collection. On the bottom, I'll show you the bottom briefly. Over here, I just have some more paper pads, and the sun is really not my friend right now. I thought if I got here early, there wouldn't be so much glare, but there's more glare than I thought. Anyway, those are some more, mainly older paper pads. Over here, I have lots and lots of cardstock, and like a lot of scrapbookers, I'm not using cardstock as much as I used to, but I do still use it now and then, so I like having lots of different color options. Collected those over many, many years. And then over here, I have the, the pages, the plastic sleeves for scrapbooking pages. I have some Project Life divided pages there. I have a whole bunch of these 8.5 by 11 inch K & Company page protectors. That's what they're called, page protectors. They used to have these in a store near me for 50 cents. So every time I went in, I would grab, 3, 4, 5. And now I have quite a few, but I do use those quite a bit for journaling. I'll put those in 12 by 12 inch albums, and I'll just include the journaling on those sheets. Underneath, I have some more cardstock. And then to the right, I have a couple of random things. I have some templates that I use, stars, circles, all kinds of things. I have some, let's see if you can see that. I have some borders, a whole bunch of adhesive and different types of borders from different collections. These are some like page protectors that don't match with the rest of the page protectors that I have, but I do use page protectors now and then for various things other than in albums. I have some Kiwi Lane templates, and underneath that right here, I have some felt embellishments. I've had these probably over 10 years. I love them. I haven't found a way to use them yet, or I haven't thought of a way to use them yet, but I'm not getting rid of them because I really like them. And at one point I will find something to use them for. So that is that cabinet. On this second Calyx unit, I mainly have my collections organized by manufacturer. At the end here, I have some specialty papers. I have some glitter papers, and here you could see like I have cork. I have some large envelopes, some acetate. This is where I have some of the paper items that are not in collections. I have some transparencies, and then on the bottom over here, I have some pearl paper and some glitter paper. I'll see if I can get down closer to that. And I keep all of these glitter papers over here. And then I have this mess over here that is my collection of flowers, and I am in the process of straightening that out, but I haven't finished. I kind of struggle between taking them out of the packages and leaving them in the packages, so I will have to figure that out. over here, I have a We Are Memory Keepers cart, and I store usually some projects on there, the projects I'm currently working on. Right now, I have a lot of products that I found when I was cleaning out my scrap room that I want to find a better place for, one that makes more sense to me so that I can easily find them. So I have some 49 in Market items here. Here I purchased 2 Martha Stewart punch sets, and those have to be incorporated into my punch closet. I have some trays that I use mainly for when I'm doing my creative scrapbook layouts, and I put all the embellishments into these dividers, and that helps me to make the layouts a little more easily. And then down here I have a tray of dies that I use frequently, and so I keep those handy. I have another tray right here. And then I have a number of other punches that have to be incorporated into my punch closet. And then down here, I have just a few other items that I have to find places for, and a layout that I have to find photos for. This cart over here, this has a lot of things that I use all the time on the top shelf. This metal container, this has scissors, pens. I have my Tim Holtz stapler and a whole bunch of spatulas in here, and these are things I use all the time, and so I keep them handy. I always have my Windex and my paper towel handy, and my magic eraser, and I use the paper towel a lot for mixed media, but I'm always wanting to clean up in between projects, so I like to keep everything handy. I have lots of rulers, and then I have a whole tin of these very worn out, somewhat tattered looking paintbrushes, and that's okay because usually that's all I need for my mixed media projects. But then next to that, I have some brushes that are in a little bit better shape for when I want to do some watercolors or project where I need a brush that comes to a point. Underneath that, I have some things that I don't use as much, and I know you can't see this super well, but on the right I have a cupcake container that was given to me by my daughter Julia. I keep my flair in there, and then I have a lot of tags and little tiny sentiments on that shelf. And then down here I have a whole bunch of different glues. In this cabinet I keep all of my punches. Long ago, I made a video about this closet, but I have all of my punches organized in boxes, and the boxes are color-coded. And then on these pieces of paper, you can see the punches that are in each box. So that really helps me to keep all the punches in a place that I can find them. I have a few other things that are in this closet. I have 2 boxes of assorted titles, and then I also have 2 boxes that have some different types of frames in them. Now I'll show you my desk area. As I have told you, this is my glass top table. I absolutely love the glass top, so easy to clean up. I have this contraption that's made of PVC pipe that my husband made for me. We saw this on a video, a scrap room tour many years ago. I have no idea who the person was, but I wish I could thank them because this stand is the best stand. I bought another stand for when I film upstairs, and it's not as good as this one, and this costs probably a couple of bucks. This is extremely inexpensive piping, and the only thing we had to add to it was this. This was something we already had. It was probably on a tripod or someplace we had this. So we attached this over here, and this works really well for filming. My lighting, it's funny, I bought some really expensive lights because they were recommended on a video and they didn't work for me. So I found these lights in TJ Maxx on sale for about $6, and then I attached them to these light stands that I already had, and they're great, and they have much more versatility. I'm able to switch the position and to change my lighting very easily, and they make minimal glare. So I'm really happy with those lights. I have this Fiskars cutter. That's something that I have used for many, many years. I have another one that I keep upstairs for when I scrapbook upstairs, and I really love these. This is a little stand. I put my phone on there when I'm down here so I don't lose it. Sometimes the table gets extremely messy, so I don't want to lose my phone. Up on top here, I have my Mink machine, and I really just use it to flatten my mixed media projects. I know there are a lot of other applications for it, but I now use it on a daily basis to flatten those warped papers out. Underneath, I have this cube, as I said, from Michaels. This piece of really well-worn plastic, that is the sleeve that you put pages in to run through the Mink machine. I really need another one. And then there's a few scraps of paper here. And I just want to say, please excuse any dog hairs that you see. We have 3 dogs. They're not allowed on this level, but somehow their hair sticks to everything. I know it's gross, but it's something that is inevitable in my craft room. So underneath this plastic is some paper. Now, there's only a small piece of paper, but I normally try to keep a stash of gessoed cardstock there. I have to make another batch, but that way I can pull a piece of gessoed cardstock without having to make it when I'm in the mood to create. And then underneath, I have a bunch of projects that I would like to complete. Some of them are from my creative scrapbook. I often can make far more projects than I can complete in a month, so I put together the items that I plan to use on a particular page, and then I put them in here, and every now and then I will pull one of these envelopes out and finish a project. Some are other projects, they're not just my creative scrapbook. I keep them in envelopes, and that way I can just pull out the whole envelope and start working. This is a napkin holder, and I've cut it down to put my iPad on. I use that for both watching Netflix and movies and a lot of YouTube videos, or sometimes I use it to Zoom with my scrapbooking friends. I have an old mug. It's nice and big and heavy, so I use that for my paintbrushes. And then I have some Distress Oxides and sprays. Some of them stay out, and some of them I use for recent projects. Now, over here, let's see if I can get a shot of this. That's kind of impossible without too much glare. Let me see if I can get another angle. Hold on one second. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the kind of shot I wanted to get, but I have a number of 3-tiered trays, and I keep a lot of mixed media products on them. I have my drywall tape that I use for texture on some projects that I make, and then these are all items that add texture. There's some glitter, there's some art stones, some mica, some glitter, all kinds of different things that will add texture. Underneath that, I have a number of bottles of glue. I like to keep that handy, and a bunch of different adhesives. I see I have some diamond dust there, a lot of random things. I don't use the things on this shelf as much as I use the items on the lower shelf, which includes things like modeling paste, gel medium, some gesso, things like that. Over here, I have my Heidi Swap glitter paste that's open. I have some iridescent glaze in various colors. Down here, I have some alcohol inks and some solvents and things like that. And then on the bottom, I have these Finnabair. A lot of them are metallic paints, metallic, and also the Opal Magic paints. And I keep them upside down. I hear that's supposed to keep them from drying out. I hope that's the case. I really love these, and I use them a lot to paint the clay embellishments that I make with molds. Over here, I have a whole bunch of Lindy's Magicals, and I don't really love this tray. It's a little wobbly. I wish I had gotten another one of these trays, but I'll keep my eyes peeled for those. Underneath that, I have Distress Stains, and on the bottom, I have a whole bunch of paints, mainly acrylic paint. And I would love to keep everything together. I have acrylic paint in that drawer, acrylic paint over here, but not everything fits, and some things I like to have more handy, so I keep them in these tiered trays. Over here, I have some, I think they're close to my heart, stamp pads. no Stampin' Up, sorry about that. I bought this whole set at a flea market, and I use some of them. Some of the inks have really come in handy because there's so many different colors. I have this little bucket, and it has my initial on it, and that was given to me by my friend Michelle. And I keep all my daubers in here. I keep daubers in a couple, the primary or main colors that I would use, and keep those handy so I don't have to pull out another or an extra dauber every time I want to ink something. I also have some frequently used items up here. I have my photo corner punches. These are punches that I use all the time, so I keep those handy. And then I have some stays on archival ink and acrylic blocks, so I can stamp things quickly without having to go into a box and get those things out. My Big Shot is my absolute favorite die cutting machine. I have a few others. The other one that I really love, though, is the little mini one that I have. I think it's a We Are Memory Keepers. It's very, very tiny. I keep that upstairs for when I scrapbook upstairs. But when I'm scrapbooking down here, I will first go for the Big Shot. I love the Big Shot. I have a pencil sharpener, and then I have an IKEA container that holds my ATG gun and then also my heat gun. Now down here, I have a little bit of a mess. I have washi tape on the bottom. I have chipboard next to it, but then I have all of these dies, and I haven't put them into my die system, and I'm guessing that they won't fit because it's been a very long time since I've categorized any dies. So the dies are normally kept down here. I have them in these sleeves, and they're organized by subject, and these sleeves go way back to, this is a metal box, and I was in the past able to organize all of my dies in these envelopes, but it's just gotten a little out of control. So I have to either organize them or find another method of organization. I have more washi tape over here. I use washi tape now and then. I feel that I've heard a lot of crafters say, we buy a lot of washi tape and then we don't always use it, but I have some Michaels drawers, and I have some drawers I got from TJ Maxx, and I actually like these drawers from TJ Maxx better. I wish I could find 2 more of them to replace these drawers, just because I feel like it makes this gap on the side and I have something stuck there, but I don't like the look of that really. And then underneath I have a whole bunch of different ink pads. I have some distress inks, and I keep the distress inks I use the most. I'll show you in a minute. Underneath my desk I have markers, and then there's my Gemini Junior. That's one of those machines that you don't have to crank it. It just goes through, on its own. So that's handy. Next to that, I have things like daubers, stamp pads. I have my Dr. P.H. Martin's watercolors that I have had since college, and my daughter uses them too. They are very concentrated, intense colors. I just love them. Some more ink pads underneath. And then I have some steel rule dies and some odd cutting plates for different machines. And then underneath there, I have my embossing folders. Over here, I have boxes that have scrolls. Let's see if I could show you what I mean by that. Things like this and like this. I use these a lot on my layouts, so I purchase these frequently. I also have some wood embellishments as well. Underneath that, I have my Cuttlebug, which is great for traveling with. I bring that to crops when I go to crops. And then I have some flowers and butterflies and flowers in these boxes, different stickers. And then I have the cutting plates for the Cuttlebug right here. I like to keep the cutting plates nearby. I hate when I have to search for them. And it's the same thing with my Big Shot. I keep the cutting plates right on there so that I can just cut really quickly. If I have to do too much work, it really slows down the process. I'm going to finish up this tour by showing you what I have access to when I'm sitting at my desk. Right over here, I have embossing supplies. I also have some gelatos, and I have some distress crayons and some other brands of crayons. Underneath that, I have a number of Christmas themed pads. And over here, I have a whole bunch of pieces of paper that I keep. They're 12 by 12 inch papers, and I use them as a 12 by 12 inch base when I want to piece together other elements, or when I want to attach a number of papers. I layer them together and attach them down, and this is really handy to have, and I feel not as guilty about getting rid of papers because I can use them for a purpose. Over here, I have a board that I use when I do layout chairs or when I do product chairs. I also have a number of self-healing mats, and I don't use these as much as I used to, but I have them here. These I bought so I could cut them apart and use them in my die cutting machines. Haven't done that quite yet. And then I have this set of drawers over here. On the top, I have a number of tools. These are for shaping flowers. I have another smaller aspirator. I have an eraser that I love this eraser. I use that all the time. I have some pointy tools. Some of these help me to place things on pages. I have this dentist tool that I was given, and I really love this. Don't worry, I boiled it before I started using it. I have some sanding supplies, and I use my T-square all the time. I also have these plastic sheets that I use to cover my photos when I'm splattering paint. Underneath that, I have my circle cutters. These are all of the circle cutters. I mainly use these for Creative Memories circle cutters, but I also have the We Are Memory Keepers circle cutter. I use that sometimes too for sizes that these don't cut. And then I also have other shapes underneath that. Those are Creative Memories too. And then I have some Fiskars circles, and those again cut sizes I can't get with Creative Memories. I have a drawer of foam. My husband recently restocked this for me, and I like to have that on hand. I found it very hard to find during the pandemic. I have a whole drawer of crochet doilies, probably far more than I need, but sometimes I go to flea markets. Just a couple of times a year, I go to a flea market that's about an hour away from my house, and they're so inexpensive, and I never know what I'm going to need. So I pick them up when I see them there, because when I go to antique stores, they're like 4 or 5 times the price. And then on the bottom here, I have a book that I write different things in that I want to keep on a permanent basis. The names of scrapbookers, products, things like that. Underneath that, I have a whole folder of inspiration. These are mainly pages that I've torn out of magazines. I had tons and tons of magazines, and I decided I was just going to keep the pages I was interested in. Underneath there, I have directions. Over here, I have some dividers. Those are for some of the boxes that I have. I have this little tray. I keep these glass cleaners. I could use these to clean photos. I have far more than I'll ever need. I have a box full of posts and other items that are used for those post-bound albums, which I don't really use so much anymore, but they have broken sometimes, so I like to keep those on hand. And then over here I have a box, I call it spare parts. They are things that maybe have fallen off of different projects, or that I don't know what they are, or that I don't know what to do with. So there have been some little things that I found that I throw them in there, and then I later find the layout. So I find that useful sometimes to reunite embellishments with layouts. So here I have this little area under my desk. I find that I don't need all of this area. I don't really push myself too far under my desk. So I thought, oh, perfect. I can use this as more real estate to store some of my embellishments. So over here, I have some Halloween embellishments that I purchased fairly recently, and I have to incorporate that into my stash. So that's one of my projects. I will be doing that soon. And then I have some items over here that are stored in boxes. Some self-adhesive ribbon that I got in Michael's years ago. Love that ribbon. Some appliques. Those are in boxes that I would like to switch out for these flat boxes. I store my items mainly in two different types of divided boxes. One of them is an art box. I got this at Joann Fabrics. I got a whole bunch of these when they had a special through the mail. And then I also use these flatter boxes. I like these when I don't really need to store a lot of things, but I want to divide what I have because the boxes are very flat and you can fit a lot of them in a small amount of space. For this one, I use these for my daubers. I find this is useful for organizing those. So those are the two different types of boxes that I like to use. I have some of these left over. These are embroidery boxes I used to store everything in there. But now I just have the things that fit on that little Target shelf that I showed you earlier. I just have those stored in there. And when I get more of these other boxes, I will switch them out. So underneath, I have some white pearl embellishments, some plastic flowers, then some pearl strings. I only use those occasionally, but I do use those on my pages. And then a whole bunch of different colors of pearls. I use those constantly. I showed you the daubers. I also have some embroidery thread, 3 different boxes of embroidery thread. I mainly just use white, but I have all the colors because I do use different colors now and then. Then I have some extra beads and dewdrops, and then some photo corners that are individual photo corners. I also had another box of photo corners that are stickers. Sometimes it's hard to store everything together. On the top here, I have an empty box. And here, oh yeah, here are some more of those embroidery sized boxes. They fit perfectly in this little spot, so I hold on to those. I have some miniature pom-poms, some cork embellishments, mainly that I punched out, some assorted jewels, and some Christmas embellishments, and some tiny perler beads. On the top, going back to the top, I have boxes of my Distress Oxides, and I use this one color of Distress ink all the time, so I leave that up there. That's Vintage Photo. Over here, I have a basket of all of the stickers that I bought recently. Mainly right now, it seems like they're from Dollar Tree, but I want to incorporate these into my stash, so I'm housing them there for now. Underneath that, I have some thin colored cord, and then I have some glitter tape and glitter dots and shapes, and I showed you the other items. So that's what's hiding underneath my desk. And then finally, to the right of my desk, I have this set of drawers. So on the top, I have a lot of office supplies. I have this pad I got at a crop recently, and then I have Post-it notes, tabs that I use to label the plastic bags around my room, some paper clips, tape, things like that. And then in the back, I have some tape for my label maker, some pencil sharpeners, erasers, things like that in this drawer. Okay, now in this drawer, or in these drawers, I keep my scraps. These are my glitter scraps. And then I also have pattern paper scraps down over here. And I keep them in these envelopes. I love these envelopes are color coded. These envelopes are dry erase pockets meant for teachers. I have to use them with my students as well because I'm a teacher. But I love keeping my scraps in here. Whenever I'm finished with a project and I have scraps of paper that don't go with any collection, I organize them by color, and they have really helped me with my scrapbooking. I love that they're organized now. I have the cardstock scraps. Those are organized in the same way. And then I have my cardstock. I forgot to show you my cardstock. I'll have to show you that. I cut off the extra piece because my cardstock is very large the way that I buy it, and I store this piece here to use for other purposes, and I use this stuff all the time. And then this bottom drawer, I don't have it labeled because it has all assorted things in there. Black is the color I use most often, so the envelope is the thickest, so it doesn't fit in the other drawer, so I keep that there, keep it handy. I have 2 glue guns that I use every now and then. I also have some paint chips here that I've collected throughout the years. I think the color is so beautiful on these, so intense, so I hold on to them to use for projects, and I do use those now and then. I hate to waste them. Here's my Dymo label maker. I absolutely love this. It's so much more cost efficient than some of the other label makers, and it works extremely well. Those are those little embellishments you could put in shakers. I have my prize for finishing a load challenge. I want to do something special with that, so I keep that there. And I'm just going to show you my cardstock. I'm back at my cart right now, and I forgot to show you the cardstock shelf that I have there. I have 2 different trays of cardstock. This one is 80 pounds. This one is 120 pounds, and I also have some 100-pound underneath. I had to buy the 100-pound because I couldn't find any 120-pound at one point, but I think that 120 pounds and 80-pound would be perfect for my uses. I use the 80-pound for my die cut machine. I now think that it's been figured out. My husband figured it out, but I was using so many sheets of paper that I was throwing away on my Silhouette Cameo, and I wanted to look for a less expensive option for paper because it was getting very expensive. So I found this paper. I love the way it cuts out. 80 pounds is perfect. And then for my mixed media paper, I use the 120-pound paper. And this is just copy paper. I have a couple of different brands here, but it's basically this premium color copy cover. I find it great for mixed media. It takes gesso really well, and I've been very happy with it. This pack was 250 sheets of paper, and I got it for under $30. So that saved me so much money. So that's what I use for my die cutting and mixed media paper. That is my craft space tour. Please forgive any issues that I had with shaking or with filming. I'm not used to filming and holding the camera as I film. I wanted to leave you with this quote that I absolutely love. This was a little card that was in a Spiegel Mom Scrap pack of sequins, and it says, "Creativity is not a competition." And that's something that I absolutely love about scrapbooking. I don't know any other hobby where you could copy, or as we say, scrap lift somebody's layout, and they're thrilled and honored that you have copied what they've done. I think it's such an amazing community of people. I have had literally nothing but positivity from this community, and I have to admit I was a little worried when I first started my YouTube journey, but I have had just a wonderful experience. I'm so happy for the lovely people that I've come in contact with. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about absolutely anything, I'd be happy to answer them. I hope that this video gave you an idea of what my crafting space looks like and how it's organized, and I hope you got some ideas, and I hope to see everybody again soon. Thank you for sticking with me through this very long video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.